Hi, and welcome to the Wellness Exchange. Today we interviewed Ms. Nadia Ochoa, the Executive Director from the Palmer Drug Abuse Program. We spoke about alcoholism, how it affects your body and your loved ones around you. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we can go ahead and dive in. So what would you say is a normal drink size? Like, what does that look like? And is it different for, wine, beer, or liquor? Do they vary?
So yes, it does vary. So there's not like a typical size. You have to just look at like the alcohol by volume indicator. So beer has different levels, alcohol has different levels, and of course wine does. So you definitely need to keep an eye out on that and your body weight. So like if you're bigger, you're shorter, like it's gonna have a different impact how much you're drinking. So you definitely have to pay attention to what is going on those labels.
Gotcha. Okay, so I know that like beer has a lower number versus the same size bottle of liquor, right?
Yes, so in quantity, yes. However, there's some beers now that are very high in alcohol volume.
Okay.
So you can go up to like a 9 point something. And so you definitely have to watch out for like craft beer, something a little bit different, because if you're smaller, it can affect you faster than if you're taller or bigger.
Right, okay, gotcha. So when would you say, normal drinking can become kind of, alcohol abuse, or when is that shift?
So there's a shift when it starts affecting your day-to-day life. So if you're focusing your day on when I'm going to drink next, that might be a sign. Or negatively, if you're waking up in the morning and you can't make it to work, you're missing work. You're still hungover, right? You're still, intoxicated,
right?
So like when it starts affecting your day-to-day life is the big indicator where, hey, you might have a problem, you might need to slow down, or you might need to reach out for help.
So is alcohol a disease, or is it like an illness of some sort? How do we know, like if it is affecting the body, how is it negatively affecting the body? Is it a disease?
It is definitely a disease. So it's, alcoholism is, a substance use. And, it affects the body in different ways. It definitely affects your mind and your cognitive development. Or if you're young, it could slow it down. But your body, it raises your blood pressure. It can cause strokes, heart attacks. Like there's a lot of effects. Your liver, you can get cirrhosis of the liver if you drink for too long. So it does have long-term effects and immediate effects, depending on how much you're drinking.
Okay. So I know you just mentioned a few ways that it can affect the body, but what are some other like specific parts of the body that alcoholism would affect?
So like I said, your liver, since it slows down your cognitive ability, so your movement is slower. So that's why you can't drink and drive, because your reaction time is not it's not what it is when you're sober. So it slows the body, and mentally, teenagers that start really young, your brain doesn't develop till you're 21. So if you start drinking young, you're gonna slow down your learning abilities. So it definitely affects everything, but more so your brain, your liver function. And if you're older, heart disease, heart attacks, if you're drinking too much, that could be a symptom.
Wow, okay. And so with those, specifically with like you were saying, drinking younger and having it affect you long term, like that definitely has a significant impact in someone, right? Like starting at a young age, or even if they kind of pick it up later in life, maybe like 30s or 40s, then even then, if they're continuously drinking like that, it's gonna have like a significant impact, right?
Yes, alcohol is one of the most difficult abuse of drugs, where it takes longest to go through withdrawals and to fight and to beat. So if you're a severe alcoholic, you can't just stop drinking overnight. You definitely have to do it slowly, probably enter a detox, because you do need to be, supervised and watched over, because people that stop immediately could, have a heart attack and die. There's major consequences if trying to just completely stop overnight. Yes.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know that you could actually.
So sometimes, like when we see clients at PDAP, and they have a severe alcoholism, we have to, like, hey, you're not ready to just stop, and we have to refer them to a detox because there's going to be a transition there.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, you know, I think a topic that people might be worried about is, you know, genetics or inheritability. Would you say that alcoholism can be inherited, or is that even possible?
Yes, it's definitely inherited. So even if, let's say, you're in foster care and you've never met your father, but your father has a history of alcoholism, you can still be at high risk for alcoholism, even if you've never met, because it is genetic.
Wow.
So a lot of people that have a history of alcoholism in their family start off just not even touching the stuff. Like they don't even want to risk the possibility of becoming addicted to alcohol or becoming an alcoholic. So it makes a huge difference. And if you go to the doctor, you know, one of the questions sometimes is, depending on what's wrong with you, is, do you have a history of alcoholism in your family?
Right.
So it is, and you know, you have to watch out for that.
Wow. That's very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people don't even know that that's a possibility, and they might go throughout their lives and think, you know, I don't have any, you know, any specific disorders that could affect me, but it's crazy like how your past, you know, even your previous family members, like their actions also.
It does. Yeah. It can be inherited.
Yeah. And just like a side question also, if somebody does have, if nobody ever had like any type of drinking issue, maybe like they just didn't want to drink or anything, but suddenly they don't know that they have that like genetic kind of trait to them. If they started drinking, it could trigger that and into, you know, for their children and further on as well.
Exactly. Wow. Yes, it could definitely trigger, and it might skip a generation. So like I know, like this is not true, but let's say like my grandfather was an alcoholic. I choose not to drink. However, my son is enjoying life. Right. You know, it could skip me and go to him, and so that's my responsibility as not just a parent, but as a family member to be like, hey, this is in our family. This is, you know, genetic disease that, you know, is relevant to us. You need to slow down, you know, so you do have to inform your loved ones.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. So I know you did mention that alcohol or an alcoholic cannot simply cut down. And I think that's what a lot of people think, right?
Yes. No, it depending on the severity of the addiction to alcohol, you can't just go cold turkey like you said. There has to be a gradual detox. And when they're at this level, they're usually, you know, seeing hallucinating, and because of those things, you can't just cut it off. The body can go into shock, so there has to be like monitored withdrawing of the alcohol. And so
when you're saying that, also, you know, going back to that alcohol level in a drink, that affects your blood alcohol level, right? And so that, I can see how that would contribute to those hallucinations, because it is quite literally in your blood, right?
So I'm talking like, if you're drinking like a bottle a day of vodka or something like that, when you're at that level, or 24 pack a day, or you know, something extreme, yes, you can get to that level where you see hallucinations, and that's when, you know, it's time and patient care is necessary.
So now we can kind of move on to the next, you know, I guess phase of alcoholism. So can alcoholism be treated?
So that's a great question. It can be treated, and you worded it perfectly, but it can't be cured. So like you can treat it, you can go to detox, you can go to rehab, but it's a long-term lifelong disease. So you have to do constant maintenance, constant counseling to keep your sobriety going. Now, depending where you live and what program you're in, like for PDAP, we practice complete abstinence, right? But if you're in California, you have the California sober. So it just depends what program you're in, what you believe in. I think alcohol, because of the way it affects you, I think you're less likely to be able to go on and just have a few drinks here and there. It's one of those things that you're just going to have to stop for life. You can't, your body just can't say no, and doesn't know when to say when, right? So it can be treated, but it just can't be cured.
Right. Wow. And so it really is a lifelong commitment to your health and to to make that lifestyle change. I mean, even if you're not at that level of incredible alcoholism, I'm sure even just those beginning stages of alcoholism, trying to identify, where exactly that shift is of, okay, my family's kind of concerned, and now it's like, okay, now it's actually a problem.
Yeah, it's affecting my school, it's affecting my work, my performance, So, you have to pay attention to, especially like it's a red flag if you're drinking every day or you're going all out every weekend. I mean, there's certain things you definitely have to look at, but it's very important to keep on top of.
Right, definitely. So, does alcohol and or alcoholism affect people within different age groups? So let's say, the younger crowd of, even though it is, obviously illegal for, 18 to 21 or 18 to 20, to drink, it still happens, right?
Definitely.
So would it affect them differently versus somebody who kind of became more of an alcoholic in their 40s, 50s,
It affects them differently because, like I mentioned, younger kids are still, their minds are developing. So they're not going to be as, I guess you can say, as fast in learning. It's going to slow their learning process. It's going to slow their ability. So if you're an athlete and you start drinking, your movement is going to be slower. It's not going to be on point as you normally would be. So, and then as you get older, your tolerance kind of builds. However, you have different battles that you need to fight. You're going to have heart disease, blood pressure, cholesterol is another thing that is affected by alcohol. So it's just different battles that you'll fight at a younger age and an older age.
Right. And so definitely somebody who would want to make like a healthier lifestyle change, if they are somebody who, would you say like somebody who enjoys, let's say, one beer a day or like one alcoholic beverage a day, if they are somebody who, let's say, is trying to make a positive lifestyle change and, either for their mental health, their physical health, would you recommend cutting that out completely?
Definitely, yeah. So it's like you even see celebrities nowadays that they weren't alcoholics, but like let's say Megan Fox, for example, she stopped drinking because she had one night and realized like I don't want to be that person. Not because she was an alcoholic, but it's just because she realized that's not who she wants to be. So if you're trying to live a healthy life, it definitely cut out the alcohol. They have dry January. I don't know if you heard of that, where people give up drinking for 1 month out of the year just to reset the body. And if you wanted to have a healthier lifestyle, maybe change to like a glass of wine or just research it. Definitely do the research and make a choice that works for you. But healthy lifestyle, you might want to cut out the alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what is something that I can do, let's say if I have a loved one who I think might kind of be going down the path of alcoholism, or if I just know somebody who I think like might be going down that path as well, what are some things I can do or to say to them?
Definitely reach out to them, and I think it's better just to do a one-on-one, just like, hey, like how are you doing, like how's work, and really ask about their life and how everything is going. So then you'll be able to better navigate, maybe they're okay, or no, it sounds like they need help, and then let them know you're there for them, like hey, would you be interested, I'll go with you, and for services, or a counselor even, and then there are interventions if it gets to that level where that this one is your friend or loved one is spiraling out of control. There are different places that provide interventions with family members to jumpstart the therapy process, and they're not bad. It's coming from a place of love and support. So as long as you maintain that level of love and support, it should be received well. But if it's not, don't get discouraged. They need you and they need your support. So keep on going, keep on trying.
Right, definitely. I think definitely coming at it from an angle of like I'm saying this because I love you or because I very much care about you. And I think sometimes people tend to go the aggressive route, and that is just the opposite of what
so like
we
when you're
do.
fed up and you've had it and you're done, that's not the time to approach the situation. When you're calm and you realize, okay, this is affecting their life, and I really care for this person, and you don't want them to get hurt, period. And so definitely when you're calm and they're calm too.
Right,
so,
right. Not when they're in the middle of a outburst or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's just the better way to approach it, and then have information ready for them.
Yeah.
So they have options.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So is there anything else that you'd like to say to our audience kind of before we wrap up?
Yes, definitely. Like there's so many resources here in our area, and it's just reaching out, looking and searching for what works best for you or your loved one, and take advantage of them. A lot of resources are free. I know our services are free, and there's just so many programs out there to help the community. So there's no reason to struggle on your own.
True. Very true. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Ms. Nadia. For all of our viewers, we hope you enjoyed this Wellness Exchange episode. Again, she is from Palmer Drug Abuse Program, and she is the Executive Director. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure to like this video. Thank you.